All right, there's a new kid in town, y'all. The Shield Plus, but in 30 super carry. So we're gonna weigh in on this new cartridge, have a little bit of fun here today. 17 rounds of 30 super carry in my hand, and the size of just about a little fatter than a normal Shield. Let's try it out. Okay, first rounds out of the 30 super carry I've ever shot, right here. Let's go. All right, not bad for a first timer. All right, guys, welcome back. Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Now, our friends at Smith & Wesson were nice enough to send this particular unit out for us to check out and sort of give some of our thoughts on the new 30 Super Carry. Where the distinction is, I must admit, okay, I've had some reservations about this particular cartridge, but you have to also remember that I've just been around 9mm my whole life in terms of carry guns, and I like 9mm, so you have to kind of quickly just say, you know what, I'm going to remove my bias from the situation and just try to treat this with the respect it deserves and try to understand, okay, well, where is this cartridge coming from? What is it useful for? What's the purpose? Well, for one, you can actually get a heck of a lot more rounds in a standard magazine, so you get better capacity without taking up a lot of extra space. So that allows Smith & Wesson, even though they call this gun the Shield Plus, the thickness of the gun is not much fatter than a standard Shield. It's probably a little bit girthier than a single stack Shield, but not by much, okay? So it's a Shield Plus by virtue of being a double stack. However, the size is closer to a standard Shield, which is nice, okay? So this particular magazine right here, you've got 16 rounds in the mag and 1 in the chamber, so you have 17 shots. It's a 100 grain bullet. So your bullet weights are going to be a little bit lighter than a standard 9mm projectile, which your nominal projectile weight on a 9mm is about 115 grains, and that's on the light side. So you're not going to be chasing crazy heavy pills like you will in a 9mm, but this allows you to stuff a lot more ammo in a magazine, so you get good fast follow-up shots. Right there, the initial recoil impulse was not that bad. It's a little snappy, but no more than a standard 9mm. This uses a 311 diameter bullet. So we actually measured some of the projectiles. So it uses a smaller bullet. You can almost kind of think of this like a straight-walled, I don't know, Tokarev, if you will. Like the Tokarev cartridge uses that 311 bullet, but it's on a bottleneck case, and that gives it some crazy velocity. But this cartridge is yielding some decent velocity, and the energy that you're getting is around 350 foot-pounds or so, which still gets it into that 9mm territory. Now, you're not going to be chasing crazy velocities or heavy bullet weights with crazy plus P velocities as of yet that I know of, but even out of this short little barrel, you're still getting some decent velocity. You've got fast follow-up shots. One thing that I'd like to add on the magazines, loading the magazines is a little bit difficult. The springs are pretty freaking tough, and getting that first round started is kind of hard too, because the way the follower's designed, not that big of a deal, just something you need to be aware of. You know, I got pretty strong hands, and even I had a hard time loading the magazines, you know, without the aid of a Luger loader. Now, we were able to take our standard double stack Luger loader, and it works just fine. So it does work with a variety of different magazines, and of course, this particular magazine, it works just fine. And you can see that the body of the magazine is a double stack, but that they taper up to a single stack tower. And that's not, you know, unlike a lot of magazines that are out there. This gun ships with 2 magazines, one that is a 13 shot with a flat base plate, and one with a slight extension on the bottom that gives you a little bit more grip space, as well as a little bit of additional capacity. So from drawing from concealment or using, you know, as a concealed carry pistol, I can definitely see where this will benefit a lot of people. Because like we've said in other videos, things like the P365 from SIG, they really changed the game, right? And you notice that Smith & Wesson came out with the Shield Plus, their double stack version, which we have a video on that particular gun, and it's fantastic, of course. I love that particular gun. But if you want something with a little more capacity and a little bit slimmer and smaller and easier to conceal, and you don't mind having, you know, basically what is essentially a new and proprietary type of cartridge, then it could be a gun worth looking at. And it's kind of important to look at this gun with a new set of eyes and not really approach it from the standpoint of, well, I like 9mm. Well, of course, everyone likes 9mm. I had to kind of take a step back and just go, you know what, we're just gonna treat this like it should be treated and just say, hey, is it a cool cartridge? Do we like it? The recoil impulse, not bad. Let's shoot it some more, and I'll talk a little bit more as I go. And of course, the pistol itself, this particular Shield Plus, other than the frame size being slightly different than the single stack Shield and a little smaller than the double stack Shield Plus and 9mm, overall, it's pretty much the same Shield that you've always kind of come to know and love throughout the years and everything. This one does have a set of factory OEM True Glow night sights, which is a nice factory upgrade. Also, it's worth noting that this particular Shield is cut for a slide riding optic, which seems to be a very popular option right now with a lot of people. I'm running this one just with irons. So let's have a little bit of fun. Very lightweight little gun, easy to shoot. Let's break it in a little more and have some fun. Yeehaw! All right, flat base plate. Whoo, yeah. Little bit less to hold on to if you got some big mitts. I mean, come on, 50 yards, and I'm hitting an 8-inch plate with this little guy here, and mind you, this is the first time I've ever shot it. This is just going to the range, taking it right out. All I did was clean the storage grease off of it, load the mags, and come out here and shoot it. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty familiar with the Shield, and I've owned a lot of these Smith & Wesson Shields over the years, and I've seen the progress of this pistol kind of go in the territory that it's gone in, so I really do like this particular gun design, and I think that this particular gun has really become a legacy design for Smith & Wesson, and I don't really foresee them ever dropping this gun from the line. If anything, I see probably more revisions in the future and stuff like that. And I think it was smart of them to kind of use the Shield as a test bed for this 30 Super Carry. So, takeaways, right? Without boring you guys with more details or whatever, but the takeaways are more rounds in the magazine, more capacity, which is great, a more compact pistol that takes up less space, which is nice, and you get more firepower. Now granted, compared to 9mm, especially when you get into like 124 grain plus P, or you get into plus P plus 115s, or you get into, you know, some heavies in the plus P and a 147 with a good bullet design, obviously a 9mm is still going to trump it a bit, but not much. And that little bit of less recoil might be a little bit easier for some people to shoot. It's got a little bit more oomph behind it than a 380, and it's in league with a 9mm. So I think it does fill a pretty specific niche. And I do have some hollow point ammo that Federal was nice enough to send out. So this is some of their HST in the 30 Super Carry. We're gonna take a few of these rounds and destroy some of these soda bottles here in a moment. All right, I'm gonna take a couple more shots here. I'm digging it. I think it's a great pistol. The trigger is fantastic. A couple of times I milked that reset a bit because I really need to just release that trigger. But the trigger does have a little bit of a long reset, and I don't recall my other Shield being quite like that, although I want to say that my other Shield has the Apex trigger in it. So this is a stock trigger, but it's a very adequate and usable trigger. I will say I like the width of the shoe. It's got some nice width to it, so it's a very discernible trigger shoe to get a good purchase on. It's a very easy trigger to shoot, breaks nice and clean, so no complaints there. I love the texture on the frame. That's pretty much something I've come to expect and love out of a Smith & Wesson pistol. All right, do a little bit more shooting, have some fun here. Yeehaw! a couple of rounds go right over the top. Let me try that again. And I'm gonna load up, look, I'll take the Lula here and I'm gonna load up some of this HST. Let's try that again. Yeah, yeehaw, all right. All right, I digress. Let's check out some of this HST here. All right, nickel case, nice sealant on the primer, 311 diameter HST projectile. All right, I want to show you what I was talking about on this follower. So the follower kind of pokes up and it's got this kind of lip on the edge, which is, as far as I know, a little bit different than a standard follower from Smith & Wesson especially. And little trivia, okay, just for those of you who don't know, I learned this in the Smith & Wesson Armorers course. I'm just going to pass it along. Whenever you see that that like kind of crayon mark on the magazine, in the factory, they do that to show that the magazine's empty after test firing before boxing it back up. So that mark is their internal way of saying, yes, it's empty. And that proves that someone verified the mag was empty before they shipped it. So anyway, I find the best way to get that first round in there is to just place the magazine down on a hard surface. But I'm gonna lift it up to show you, but take the round and just push the edge of that follower down just a bit, like that, and then just tilt it in. Once you get that first round in there, then you just load it like a normal magazine. But just getting that follower out of the way can be a little bit cumbersome, but that's the way I would recommend loading it. I'm gonna load this one by hand just to show you how stiff the spring gets. All right, so I'm 8 rounds in. I'm gonna go ahead and keep loading. And once you kind of start to get down towards the bottom of that mag, it's got a bit of tension. That wasn't so bad to load. Tell you what, I'll load up a couple of rounds here in the other magazine. So again, we'll push down that follower on the edge, just like that, and tilt the round in. That's the way I'd recommend loading it. I'll just load up the remainder of this box and this magazine. Now maybe that spring was just stiff initially, but now that we've shot it a couple of times, not quite as difficult to load by hand as it was initially. All right, I'm gonna take out a couple of soda pops. I'll use the flat base mag. I'll take my time and actually try to hit some stuff. I like rapid fire in these types of guns, you know, just to kind of see what kind of lead you can lay down at close range. I mean, in personal defense distances up close, it's a very easy gun to shoot rapidly and to keep on target. And believe me, it's a good amount of firepower on your person, which definitely not a bad thing these days. It's a scary world we live in. Okay, let's take out some soda pops with some HST here from Federal. Oh, and by the way, yesterday was Federal's 100th anniversary. 100 years they've been making ammo. So I've got 100 grains for 100 years. How about that? There you go. There's your dad joke. Okay, let's see if I can hit these soda pops. I love the True Glow sights on this gun. Very nice. Oh! Does a number on those sodas. I really do want to probably wind up trying to shoot this pistol into some ballistics gel. I think that'll be a future video. Once more varieties of different carry ammo comes out for the 30 Super Carry, maybe we'll do a video and shoot this into some gel and kind of see where it stands up against a similar 9mm round, just for fun. But wow, okay, good stuff. Yeehaw. Oh yeah. All right, got a couple of HSTs left. Always good to see if it's gonna run defensive ammo. All right, look, I've got a couple of clear plates over here. Let's take my time and shoot a couple of little groups here on the right. And let's just see how this thing stacks up. So this is the 100 grain HST out of our shield here. Just gonna take my time here. Not bad. I need to drift that sight a little bit. And actually looking at it, heck yeah, that sucker is way the heck over in the front there. So in terms of mechanical zero, looking at that sight, I do need to drift that. Before we end up doing the ballistic shell test with this particular gun, I'll definitely make sure those sights are good to go. And just so you know, a lot of times when I take guns like this out, I like to just clean the grease off, pull them out of the box, and just see how they hold up right out of the box, and just see what my experience is going to be initially, right? You'd have to shoot the gun anyway to know where the sights are going to need to go if they do need to be drifted. Sometimes sights are perfectly mechanically zeroed right out of the box. Sometimes they're not. Everybody's eyesight's different too, you know? And most of the time, all right, if you're shooting a group and it's printing to the left, I'm sorry to tell you, boys and girls, it's probably you, okay? But I digress. I really do like this pistol, and I can imagine with a slide riding optic, this would probably be a really nice little gun to carry appendix, keep it nice and deep in concealment, have you a couple of these extra magazines so you got some extra firepower on tap. Really cool stuff. I've always loved the serrations on the shield. You know, I love those slide serrations. I think that's a very uniquely Smith & Wesson trait. It's just something you definitely see on these newer Smiths, which I like a lot. And for what the shield costs as a carry gun, I think it does represent a fantastic value as well. That was one thing that initially drove me to the shield, the single stack shield, when I first started carrying a shield. I sent my shield off to Robar to have some work done to it, and it's fantastic. Mine's a Performance Center gun. It's ported, and man, it's awesome, but it lacks the capacity of this particular pistol. With one in the chamber, you got 17 shots, so that puts this gun toe-to-toe with a Glock 17, right? So if you compare it to a 17 and the size of a 17, and granted, this cartridge, by some standards, might be maybe a bit weaker than some full-bore 9mm loads, this gun does sort of win out in that capability. And then when you compare it to, all right, what would another contemporary be? The SIG P365, or maybe even its own Shield Plus in 9mm, now you start to get an edge up on capacity. So that's kind of where the rubber meets the road here. They're chasing a different type of mousetrap. Do I like the 30 Super Carry? Yeah, I dig it. I think it's cool, right? The consumer should have options, should have the ability to, you know, have something to choose from. What if you've never owned a gun before? And this is the way I try to keep this in the back of my head for this particular video. If you've never owned a gun, and this is new technology, I mean, at one point 9mm was new, right? And somebody said, oh, newfangled 9mm, who wants that? I mean, look, if you've never owned a gun before and you're thinking about buying a pistol and you've never owned a 9mm, well then what difference would it make to you if you bought this instead of a 9 and then you just stacked a bunch of this ammo and then that's your pistol, right? So I guess, you know, it's always weird when you see a new cartridge come out because you're thinking, well, what could it wind up being, you know? Is this gonna go the way of the dodo? Is this gonna be a thing a century from now? I mean, look how well 9mm held on, right? Is that by virtue of the fact that it just came along at the right point and it was kind of the apex of pistol technology for semi-autos and machine guns in the day, and that it just kind of held on for the same reason 30-06 and 50 BMG held on? Or is there a better path? And I suppose the question I'm trying to pose here in this video, not only beyond looking at this new shield, which is awesome, I think this is almost just as much about the cartridge as it is about the gun that it's chambered in. You know, that this gun is chambered in 30 Super Carry. Do I like this cartridge? I do. I think it's cool. I'm going to spend some more time with it and shoot it some more. And I want to do some gel tests, and I want to shoot some of these rounds over a chronograph and get a little bit better data that we can verify and observe on our own. But my initial impression is that I think it's cool. And I think that there's definitely a group of people that this particular pistol will certainly cater to. And well done, both on Smith & Wesson and, you know, Federal for coming out with this. I think it's cool. And I think in time, you know, time will tell, I suppose. And once more of these get out there, and once we get more data on actual threats that are stopped with this cartridge, which I don't imagine there's a ton of data yet, but we all know that dangerous situations happen and people respond to those dangerous situations, and some people eventually are going to respond to a very disastrous and dangerous situation using this cartridge. Time will tell what the true rubber meets the road aesthetic is going to be in terms of its on-street power, but on paper it's punching in a similar weight class to 9mm, so time will tell. All right, enough talking. I'll shoot a few more rounds. I'm loving it. Not shooting it too bad considering it's my first time, but I'm loving it. Very cool stuff. All right, couple more rounds and we will let you guys get back to your day. Recoil impulse is not bad. A little lighter than 9mm. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I mean, that right there, man, you know, personal defense range, people right on top of you, it's a lot of firepower to deliver rapid shots on a threat that's right on top of you. Typical handgun combat distance. It's definitely capable. All right, last mag, 13 shots, unlucky 13. Okay, let's try that 50-yard gong again, just for fun. 8-inch plate at 50 yards. Uh-oh, wrong one. I mean, what more does a tiny concealed carry pistol need to be able to do? I mean, I don't ever picture myself using a pistol like this at 50 or 100 yards or some extended crazy range. But buddy, up close, like where I was drilling these little gongs behind me, oh yeah, very capable piece of gear, and I'm really excited to see what your opinions are as once these pistols get out in the wild a little bit more, once this cartridge is out in the wild. I think it's going to be really refreshing to see what people say about it. And you know, there's nothing wrong with trying something new every now and then. And I wanted this video to be in the vein of me just trying to put my opinions aside and try to just approach this for the new technology that it is. The bias in me wants to say, well, I've already got a ton of 9mm laying around. I've already got 9mm handguns. Why should I try to invest in some new caliber? And honestly, truth be told, that would probably be the answer many people are gonna have when they're approached about this 30 Super Carry. That was my initial observation, was, well, why? But think about it. There's a lot of new shooters out there, right? Many of them are females. Lots of folks who need to protect themselves. Heck yeah, have a little bit more firepower in your hand in a smaller package, right? A little bit less recoil, still a capable cartridge. I can see the merits. So let me know what you think down here in the comment section. Do you like the 30 Super Carry? Do you think it's a cool cartridge? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Have yourselves a great day. Many more videos on the way. I hope everyone has a fantastic week. Thanks for tuning in today. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Also, go over to Ballistic Inc. Pick yourself up an awesome new t-shirt. That's one way you can support our channel directly if you wish to do so. Thanks for tuning in. Many more videos on the way. We'll see you soon.